I normally only hold the mic for 2 minutes and 38 seconds for the complete time of Tom Jones. It's not unusual, so if things start going badly, expect me to break into song. Okay, The Urge for Perfection. It's a very grandiose title for something that's very dear to me, and I suspect it's dear to a lot of you guys by the end. What I'm going to talk about, a lot of it isn't actually necessarily relevant to you guys, but it's relevant to the people around you and the people you work with. So, without further ado, a long time ago, I'm not going to break into Star Wars yet. I made a website. Okay, so as Fiona said, this was the very first website I ever made and got paid for. This was in 1996, and it had all sorts of fantastic things like an email address, and a phone number, and a granite effect background, and it's all good. But what I'm going to focus on is this little area down here. So this was before table-based layouts, this was before CSS, so you were using markup to basically give your layout. The code on this page is interesting. So we have an opening P tag, no closing, that's all right. We've got an A tag around an H4, that's all right. Lowercase H4, uppercase H4 down the bottom there. We've got a UL opening, we've got an A with, there's no LI, but that's all right. But I was using the LI to indent things because that was basically what the browser gave me, and I wanted an indented thing, so that was all good. By the time we made it to the About page, things were getting a bit better. I was consistent with my uppercase, lowercase H3s. I had a UL, I had LIs, no closing tags. I had no idea what this table was doing. No idea at all. I got a center tag, they were great. We've got a table, we've got a TR, no closing TR. We've got a TD, no closing TD. We've got another TR. So, it looks pretty bad, but, actually, that's valid HTML. You can do that. Valid HTML. HTML has been and always will be a very, very forgiving language, which is kind of to the detriment of everyone. And a lot of people realise that because it's kind of difficult to read as a coder. And over the course of the next few years, between 96 and when it actually started happening, the standardistas came about. Ben's laughing. I was one, Ben was one, a lot of people were one. There was a subconscious agreement that good code was an important thing. And so we strode out into the HTML world and we put our strict doc types on. I mean, in reality, most of us put transitional doc types on, and we closed everything off. We made sure that it was good code. We put quotes around our attributes. We kept it nice and clean and good. In reality, we shoved this at the top of our page, which meant that the browser was just reading HTML. It wasn't reading XHTML at all. So, we could validate to our heart's content that XHTML, and the page itself, when it was rendering, was HTML. So it was all good. We introduced some nice, some nice things, and it meant that we were building nice, clean code. But then, at some point, we got a bit lazy. It's a bit unfair to say lazy, really. We got distracted. That's probably a better word. So when did we start getting lazy? Things like this are hard to pin down because it's the nature of the web and the way it is. It's very hard to pin down. But it was somewhere around the 22nd of January 2000. So on the 22nd of January 2008, the first working draft from the the Web Hypertext Application Technology Working Group for HTML5 came out. And suddenly we had new shinies. It was awesome. We had sections and sides and headers and footers and canvas. Although if Dimitri was here, he'd be saying canvas is shit. Use SVG. No, canvas is shit. Don't tell him I said that. He'll beat the living crap out of me. We had video and audio, and it's fantastic. And don't get me wrong, I love all the new elements that have been put into HTML5. But we did get distracted, and suddenly. To me, it seemed to be almost overnight. Everything just turned into it's either a block level element or it's an inline element, and everything was just spans and divs. And we just lost that sort of semantic meaning in our markup. There's a lot of culprits for this. I could pin the blame. Not necessarily going to do it. can't either bootstrap. But we kind of got into this sort of copy pasta mentality. You would see something on Stack Overflow, you'd copy it, you'd whack it in your code, and it would work. And you'd maybe tinker around with it, and it would work. But chances are that was written as a bit of a prototype, or it was written as just an example code, and an example code, just whack it in a div, because you don't know the context of where that's actually going to end up. And so we just got lazy, we hacked things up. But the problem with that is that when you introduce things like this, the people around you, the people you work with, don't necessarily understand the intricacies of what you're doing, and they just don't understand. So they copy it and they paste it into your code, and you just get this sort of ballooning effect of badness. So a bit of an example. Version 1 of your product. You introduce a bug, which may be approximately 2 meters wide, about the size of a womp rat. Please tell me you've seen Star Wars. You understand this, surely. Anyway, I'm going to push forward now. So that's bad enough, but by version 2, after umpteen developers have played around with your code and copied it and everything, you've introduced an error into your product in version 2 that's now 13 brats wide, and that's correct. Millennium Falcon is 26 meters. So good. And so you basically drive massive problems into your products if you don't keep control over the stuff you're putting in there. So what does a non-semantic web look like? You see things like this all over the place, and it's just really frustrating. Div class label, use a label. It's not rocket science. A class button. Atlassian, we came across a problem in one of our forms just yesterday, where we had an input that was styled as a button using a type submit. It's not a problem, except in iOS. iOS was rooting around with the code that we were using, and because we'd removed a gradient background from the button styling, basically iOS was treating it as a standard button. And so you were getting this horrible round-edged iOS button in the middle of your lovely, nice, clean form, and it just shit. But if you use the button, what do you find? Comment date, use the time element. It's what it's there for. Closed link. We want to use an anchor. Feature list, that's a beautiful one. Use a list. Table list, doesn't get any better than that. And I've seen all of these things. Your alarm bell should be ringing when you see something. In code, if you see a for each loop, and if the first element inside that for each loop isn't a DL, or rather an LI, or a table row or something, ask why. What is that code doing? You're building a list of something. It should probably be some sort of repeating element. So, as another web professional said, with great power comes great responsibility. Why does semantic markup matter? It matters quite a lot for many reasons. It's up to us to educate, traditionally back-end developers. A lot of developers now becoming full-stack developers. And so, we need to let them know that by using semantic markup, things are more accessible. That's really, really important these days. And accessibility on the web is a big thing, and a lot of people have let that slip. Let the browser work for you. There's a lot of elements that you can put into pages that have functionality built into them. When I built that very first web page in 1996, I put a mail to in an anchor. I was like, hell, this is awesome. I put this in, I can give it a title, I click it, and it makes an email for me. And with HTML5, they're introducing a lot more things like that. Sorts of things. So use the semantic web to give you that functionality. You don't have to then recreate, the wheel every time you put a bit of JavaScript in. It makes it easier for the browsers to read. They're expecting things like that, and they can do things with it. And it makes it makes it easier for humans to read. When we're looking at blocks of code, if it says that this is a list, and inside that list is this, that, and the other, it's far more. It makes much more sense than just having div, span, div, dev. You can parse it a lot easier. And it makes it easier for, I don't know what to read. I hate to use the word Internet of Things because it's just, but I don't know what a watch will do with a timeline. You don't know, but if you use it, somebody will sort it out and somebody will do it. I'll give you an example. I was filling out a form on an iPad specifically made for the purpose of entering an email, and they didn't use a typed email on their input text. So I didn't get the iPad keyboard with the @ symbol and that sort of stuff already there for me. I had to go searching for it, which a lot of people wouldn't necessarily know how to do, or it'd be easy to do. They had somebody standing next to it telling people how to do it. It was ludicrous, but it was Emirates, so they could afford it. So what we need to a good way to make sure that we control the code and that we have a better handle on it is we start encapsulating, using things like object-oriented CSS and building templates, which kind of reduces the need for other people to worry about it. Because if you make sure that the markup's right in your templates, then everybody else is going to get the nice candy, when they consume your templates. Web components, they're going to be huge. And I know the support for them in browser and stuff isn't quite there just yet. But using things like Skate, written by Trey, who's standing at the back waving. Wave again. Nobody can see you. There he is. There's a few others. They're sort of kind of like polyfill sorts of things. I'm probably getting this all wrong, but I think there's reactive flight as well. But there's a lot of things out there that means you can't actually use this environment. But a little word of warning, you need to be a little bit careful with some of the things you do, especially in CSS. This is the only CSS related thing I've got, I think. Just be really careful using child selectors for layout when you're using things like Backbone Marionette. There's a lot of frameworks and things that application libraries use. They add extra divs around your content without you knowing. So they just insert it into the DOM. So if you're using child selectors, that will completely screw up everything. So be really, really careful if you're using child selectors, especially for layout things where that is a problem. So best to avoid them for layout, I would say. Do you know who this is? No. His name's Kelly Johnson. And he worked for Lockheed Martin in the 1950s, 60s, 70s at the Skunk Works. And he was responsible for awesome aircraft like the SR-71 Blackbird and those sorts of things. And you probably don't know him, but you probably know a phrase that he coined. He introduced the word KISS, sorry, not that KISS. There's KISS, keep it simple, stupid. And I'm proposing that, we need to sort of move beyond the keep it simple, stupid, because, we're not stupid, and simplicity is hard on the web. So I'm going to kind of introduce keep it lean, lazy. Because I think we just need to stop every now and again and make sure that what we're doing is right for everyone else around us. We need to make sure that our code isn't bloated with superfluous divs that do nothing. Just get a handle on what's going on and pause every now and again and see if you can just take that container out, slip everything up, move your class, it's all good. So yeah, basically we need to go out and kill it ourselves. So last up, I'm just going to introduce you to somebody because I love this guy. This dude is called Cliff Denton. And he is a putter. Now, putter is basically somebody that makes scissors. That's what he does. He works for a company called Ernest Wright & Sons in Sheffield in the UK. And go to that link and watch the video because he is the embodiment of, I think, what we are. It's like looking in a mirror, really, isn't it? So what he does is he takes simple basic components, just like us, and he combines them together, just like us. And our fingers may not be quite that dirty, but he polishes what he does. He makes sure that he's doing it all right and everything. He uses the right tools to do it. He runs tests and he runs QA on what he does. And at the end of the day, he produces beautiful results, which is exactly what we should be doing. So I kind of want you to be a bit like Cliff, and just keep it lean, kill it, and yeah, that's basically it. Thank you.